Good evening. It's a decision the White House says under dire circumstances was the correct one, but one that in the end carried with it a heavy burden. The death of 33-year-old American photojournalist Luke Summers after a failed attempt to rescue him from Al-Qaeda terrorists. Tonight, we've gathered many more details about the Friday night raid by U.S. Special Operations Forces in a remote part of Yemen, including the narrow timeline they had to put the mission into motion, with Summers facing the threat of imminent death at the hands of his captors. And we're also learning about what may have caused the mission to fail. NBC's Kristen Welker continues to work the story. She joins us now with the latest. Kristen, good evening.
Lester, good evening. The body of 33-year-old Luke Summers was taken to a U.S. military base on the Horn of Africa. His family continues to mourn in private as the U.S. government begins to assess why the mission failed. It was a high-risk mission that went terribly wrong. Still, in Washington today, there was rare bipartisan support.
I do think it was the right decision to actually engage and try to go in for the rescue attempt.
Tonight, new details. Senior administration officials say Friday night, Navy SEALs landed about 2 miles from their target, secretly approaching a cluster of buildings. But their cover was blown, sparking a firefight and giving the captors time to shoot Summers and a South African hostage, Pierre Corky. A senior administration official says it is believed a noise, possibly a dog, alerted the hostage takers.
We call it contingencies. You probably remember during the Osama bin Laden raid when the second helicopter went down. These are things that you plan for, things that may or may not go right, so that you can pick up the pieces and keep moving and get the job done.
Another complication, the Al-Qaeda captors were likely on heightened alert. The U.S. tried to rescue Summers 12 days ago. The captors set a deadline of Saturday to kill Summers. The president gave the order Friday morning. The raid took place just hours later at around 5 p.m. Eastern Time.
I would say certainly the short notice makes it more of a challenge, but that's why we send, the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, Special Ops folks to do these things.
Traveling overseas, outgoing Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel defended the rescue attempt.
Is it imperfect? Yes. Is there risk? Yes. But we start with the fact that we have an American that's being held hostage, and that American's life is in danger. That's where we start. And then we proceed from there.
Meanwhile, the charity that employed Pierre Corky wrote on its website that Corky's peaceful release had been negotiated and was imminent. An administration official says the U.S. government had no knowledge of that. Meanwhile, counterterrorism experts stress rescue missions are always risky, and in this case, time was running out.
There may be a sense of irrational exuberance among Americans after the success of the bin Laden raid, but the reality is that these missions are extremely challenging. One needs only look at missions such as Black Hawk Down to realize that these missions fail just as often as they succeed.
Now, some Yemenis who live in the area claim civilians were also killed. U.S. officials have denied that, but one said today, quote, "As far as our guys know, they killed only Al-Qaeda," leaving open the possibility that there might have been civilian deaths. Meanwhile, senior administration officials declined to say how many Americans are still being held hostage overseas.